The movie I did was called Silence of the Lambs, and it's about a young FBI agent by the name of Clarice Starling who is assigned to help find a missing woman to save her from a psychopathic serial killer who skins his victims, and the serial killer is known by Buffalo Bill. Clarice attempts to gain a better insight into the twisted mind of the killer by talking to another psychopath by the name of Hannibal Lecter, who used to be a respected psychiatrist. FBI agent Jack Crawford believes that Lecter, who is also a very powerful and clever mind manipulator, has the answers to their questions and can help them locate the killer. However, Clarice must first gain Lecter's confidence before the inmate will give away any information. The psychological disorder that both characters, Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill, portrayed in this movie was anti-personality disorder, which can be defined as the mental condition in which a person has a long-term pattern of manipulating, exploiting, or violating the rights of others. This behavior is often criminal. With antisocial personality disorder, there isn't really any known causes, but it's assumed that genes make you vulnerable to the psychological disorder and that there are certain life situations that may trigger its development. And there's also another assumption that there's changes in the way the brain functions, which may have resulted during brain development. There's three different categories of risk factors per se that can almost make a person develop antisocial personality disorder, and they're categorized in biological, psychodynamic, and behavioral. Um, with certain factors, it seems to increase the risk factors of developing antisocial personality disorder. And like through the biological, it can arise from low serotonin activity and deficient functioning of frontal lobes, which is responsible for sympathy. In the psychodynamic aspect, it is caused by severe childhood disturbances associated with violence and years of systematic abuse that makes him or her hate his own identity. Through the behavioral risk factors, it can be learned by modeling the parents. If the child has a parent that has antisocial personality disorder, that parent will almost influence the behaviors that the child is portraying because the parent portrays the same actions, and so they're rewarded for those actions and almost unintentionally. Thus, when the child gets older, they'll continue performing those actions or behaviors because they don't know it's wrong to do it that way. The neuroscience behind why or how anti-personality disorders developed can become very complex, but like in conclusion, through the research of the Mayo Clinic, they have come to the assumption that a low threshold for impulsive aggression, as observed in the borderline and antisocial personality disorders, may be related to excessive amygdala reactivity, reduced prefrontal inhibition, and diminished serotogenic facilitation of prefrontal controls. And this also involves like any deformations of any kind in the brain. The psychological effects that go along with anti-personality disorder include depression, attempted suicide, mood swings, aggressive outbursts, anxiety or panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, manic episodes, mood instability or extremes, and emotional outbursts. When diagnosing Hannibal Lecter with antisocial personality disorder, it can be assumed that he gained this disorder through a life-altering event in which he wasn't the same afterwards. And during World War II in Eastern Europe, Hannibal's parents were killed by burglars going through houses to steal supplies. Him and his sister were captured, and as winter dragged on, food supplies ran out. They grabbed his sister and took her away. She never came back, and the group used her for food. From no treatment or support system, this horrible event caused him to exhibit antisocial personality disorder. People with this disorder have no regard for others and no care for what is considered right and wrong on our society. He antagonizes people with harsh judgments. He uses a charm to get what he wants and is extremely egocentric. Symptoms of anti-personality disorder include persistent lying or deceit to exploit others, using charm or wit to manipulate others for personal gain, reoccurring problems with the law, including criminal behavior, failure to consider the negative consequences of behavior, unnecessary risk-taking or dangerous behavior with no regard for the safety of self or others, theft, and aggression towards people and animals. Given the symptoms of antisocial personality disorder, it can be proven that Hannibal portrays many of these symptoms in the way he acts and the fact that he eats people and just kills them for no reason. Literally has no remorse for others. And he's very egocentric in that he only cares about himself and he easily manipulates everyone. When analyzing Buffalo Bill, you almost have to assume that he underwent extreme trauma because in the movie there are no events that were revealed from his childhood. So whether it was a form of sexual or physical abuse, something messed him up mentally. And kidnapping ladies after pretending to be injured and in need of assistance is already a terrifying thought. Turning sympathy into torture, Buffalo Bill definitely had antisocial personality disorder. He displayed the lack of sympathy for his abducted victims. His murders and acts of skinning the ladies wasn't without a point. At one point, psychiatrist Lecter said of Buffalo Bill, "Look for severe childhood disturbances associated with violence. Our Billy wasn't born a criminal, Clarice. He has made one through years of systematic abuse. Our Billy hates his own identity, you see."
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Yes, you will, precious. You will get the hose. Okay.
Mister, if you let me go, I won't press charges, I promise. See, my mom is a real important woman. I guess you already know that.
Now he places the lotion in the basket.
Please. I want to go home, please.
He places the lotion in the basket.
An important scene is when he refers to his victim as it while giving her directions. This is a way of dehumanizing her and is for his personal justification for his actions. An interesting point to add is that when his victim got a hold of his small dog and was keeping in the well with her, he got extremely upset and angry. He showed an enormous amount of love and affection for this dog, but absolutely none for humans. This again shows his abuse by humans in the past. I feel like the way that the characters portray antisocial personality disorder very much correlates with the actual symptoms to a person in real life. So I would say that the way they portrayed it in the movie is very accurate based on my evaluation and the characters' depictions of this order.